Republicans attacking John Fetterman for suffering from depression. They attacked President Biden for having a stutter. You remember, right? The mumbling and bubbling of Joe Biden. The guy's had a stutter since she was a young child. They've attacked the First Lady despite her recent cancer scares. Do you remember the Paul Pelosi attack where somebody smashed his skull in? And the right-wingers out there, like the Ted Cruzes of the world and those on the despicable far right, said that it was some sort of, the conspiracy theories were endless, like it was a gay relationship and Paul Pelosi let him in. A lot of people lied on the air about this. And then when police actually released the body camera footage and we learned all these conspiracy theories were lies, did you hear any of these Republicans retract? Did Ted Cruz retract his statements on social media? Did Jesse Waters retract his statements? Any of the right-wing buffoons out there on social media that lied about this attack, did they retract any of their statements? Of course not, because they're despicable. And these people claim to be the party of Jesus. What do you think Jesus would say about that? Here's a man, regardless of whether you agree with he or his wife's political views, who was attacked with a hammer and almost died. Were Republicans and all these people on the right wishing thoughts and prayers for his family? Some were. A lot of people on social media were not, and they were making jokes about it. Because these people are sick, and they don't have empathy. You think Donald Trump would go on his stupid Truth Social and say thoughts and prayers for Paul Pelosi? Of course not. You think Marjorie Taylor Greene would do that? Of course not, because these people are despicable. You know, I remember when Steve Scalise, I give this as a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Steve Scalise almost died, right? Now, I think his politics are despicable. But did you hear Democrats making jokes about the Steve Scalise shooting? Were there Democrats that were saying one of his gay lovers shot him and almost killed him? Of course not. Last I remember, Democrats across the board were thoughts and prayers for Steve Scalise and his family. And so glad that he recovered. That is the fundamental difference between powerful people that are in office in general that are Republican and those that are Democrat. That is the fundamental difference. When a crisis happens and people are harmed and lives are in jeopardy, you will hear, for the most part, Democrats and those on the left show compassion. When a former House Speaker's husband is almost killed and bludgeoned with a hammer, you'll see a lot of people on the right making jokes, putting out conspiracy theories, not just regular everyday Republicans. Yes, they're doing that as well. But actual people that are elected in office, elected officials making jokes about the Paul Pelosi attack. And even worse, when they're proven wrong and the body camera footage comes out, you won't hear Jesse Waters apologize or retract anything that he said on Fox News or Ted Cruz or people like that. I want to give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about, but that was one of the examples that I bring up when it comes to having empathy for people and showing compassion for people on the left and on the right today. I told you about John Fetterman, who's suffering from depression, and we all know he's in a facility. His family has made some statements. They said he's doing a little bit better. We know that, right? Well, I want to read to you the Washington County Republican Party out of Pennsylvania. The chair of the party in Pennsylvania. I'm going to read for you verbatim a letter that was written by this man who I guess is the party chair. Of course, he's a Republican for the Washington County Republican Party in Pennsylvania. Its title reads, Action Regarding the Absent Senator. Quote, because of the now confirmed lies that were told during the 2020 general election regarding the health of Senator John Fetterman, as well as the threats made against a journalist who interviewed him, the Washington County Republican Party refuses to take assurances from the office of the senator or Democrat operatives that Fetterman is able to carry out his duties as senator. Okay, I'm going to continue reading, but I just want to start right there. What is this guy talking about? They didn't lie. They said he had a stroke. So I don't know what this guy is talking about when he says the lies. And by the way, this is the same guy who probably has no problems with journalists and reporters that are threatened on the left. It's only those on the right. You can't call out both sides, right? He goes on to say, this idiot, as such, we call upon Senator Fetterman to appear on camera to show us he is alive and well. Let me repeat that sentence again so I can explain to all of you how ridiculous this statement is. Here's a guy in John Fetterman who had a stroke. Might have been suicidal, I don't know, but his depression was so serious that he voluntarily checked himself into a facility. He's still in that facility. And while all this is going on, some Republican Party chair in Pennsylvania is saying he's demanding, not asking, he's demanding Fetterman be on camera to show us he is alive and well. Think about that for a moment. How dumb and how stupid and a lack of empathy this idiot is that is writing this letter. Goes on to say, if he's unable to do so, we call upon our elected representatives in Washington, Senator Casey and Congressman Reichenschauer, to intervene immediately. So he's saying that if Fetterman doesn't immediately appear in front of a camera and prove that he is alive, he should be outed and demand somebody else in there. He goes on to say, ultimately, if Fetterman is unable or unwilling to carry out his duties as a United States Senator, then we ask for his resignation and call for a special election to be held this year. No more lies or games. So, all of a sudden, this idiot out of the Washington County Republican Party in Pennsylvania, those last few words resonate, and I want to read that. No more lies or games. Is this the same guy that ever wrote an article about fake electorates and the fake electorate schemes that were going on throughout the country that the FBI has investigated, and all these prominent Republicans plead the fifth and refuse to answer questions? This guy won't write a letter about that, about those games. No. Or the lies about COVID, that millions of people have died from the vaccines, or that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. Will this guy ever write a letter about that? No. He's not worried about that because it could hurt his party. What he's worried about is John Fetterman. And he's worried about John Fetterman, who's suffering from depression, and the conspiracy theories that continue from the right about John Fetterman. And he wants John Fetterman to appear in front of a camera to prove that he is still alive. Folks, this is where the Republican Party is at right now.